The cream envelope in my coat pocket was too thick for a graduation invitation, and the extra sheet inside held one sentence that made no sense. Grandpa, I don't know if Mom will be happy you're there, but I will. I ran my thumb over the folded edge again. Heavy paper. A slight ridge where Sophie had pressed too hard with the pen. From the dining room came the scrape of serving spoons against ceramic, Lauren's citrus perfume mixed with baked ham, and the low hum of Nathan's refrigerator. Then my daughter-in-law raised her voice. "Don't worry," Lauren said. "Dad will watch all 10 kids." A chair creaked. Somebody laughed with relief. Kim, Lauren's older sister, leaned across the table. "Charles, you are saving us." I stopped in the doorway. 10 adults were already talking around the decision. Sleeping bags, snacks, pancake mix. Somebody mentioned the Hocking Hills cabin and a hot tub. Nobody asked me a question. My son Nathan looked up from his plate. "There you are, Dad. Lauren just solved the last problem." I took my seat. The envelope stayed in my pocket. "What problem?" Lauren blinked once. "The kids. All 10? She smiled as if I were teasing. 4 households. 2 nights. They're old enough to entertain themselves. Kim lifted a hand. "Mine are 10 and 12. They won't be any trouble." Another couple listed ages. 6, 8, 9, 13. My 2 grandsons were mixed in with the rest. No babies. No toddlers. That did not make 10 children become nothing. Lauren passed the ham without looking at me. "Everybody will bring sleeping bags and food. Drop-off is Friday around 4. Pick up Sunday around 5. You don't even have to drive anywhere." At 63, after 35 years supervising facilities and operations for a suburban school district, I knew that kind of sentence. You don't even have to do much. It usually came right before somebody handed me a problem already assigned to my name. I set the serving spoon down. Saturday doesn't work. Forks slowed against plates. Lauren's smile held at the corners. "What do you mean?" "I'm not available Saturday." Kim looked from me to Lauren. "Wait, I thought this was confirmed." "So did I," the man beside her said. Lauren folded her napkin beside her plate. "Charles, everybody booked around this. The deposit has been down since April 20th. I didn't book anything." "No, but we planned childcare around you." There it was. Around me, not with me. Nathan cleared his throat. "Dad, whatever you've got planned, move it." I turned to him. He was cutting a piece of ham into smaller pieces, without eating any of them. "Why this weekend?" Nathan kept his eyes on the plate. "Because this is the weekend everybody can go." "That's not what I asked." Lauren reached for her water glass. Ice clicked against the side. "Can we not make this into a whole thing?" Everyone thought it was handled. "Who handled it?" A little color rose along her neck. "I talked to people." "Did you talk to me?" The table went quiet enough for me to hear the air conditioner kick on. Kim shifted in her chair. "Lauren told us you loved having a full house." "I do love my grandchildren." Lauren gave a small shrug. "See? That isn't the same sentence." Nathan pushed back from the table. "Dad, come outside a second." The back door shut behind us, leaving the voices inside muffled. Evening air smelled like cut grass and charcoal from a grill 2 houses over. Nathan shoved both hands into his pockets. "This is embarrassing, Lauren." I asked a question. "You're doing that thing where you turn one simple favor into an audit, then give me the simple answer. Why does Saturday matter so much?" His jaw moved once. "Whatever you've got planned, move it." Again. "Not." "What are you doing?" "Not." "Can we work around it?" "Move it." I watched him. "You know I have plans Saturday?" Nathan finally looked at me. "You always have something. Coffee with somebody. A hardware store run. Church stuff. I don't know." I went to church on Sunday. The envelope pressed against my ribs through my jacket. I did not touch it. If you enjoy family stories where betrayal, buried secrets, and hard-earned revenge unfold one truth at a time, subscribe so you can hear more stories like this. When we went back inside, Lauren was already talking about the trip again. Cabin check-in, grocery stops, a restaurant near Logan. She spoke quickly, as if motion could become agreement. I sat down and poured myself water. Charles, Kim said, quieter now. If you really can't do it, just say so. I'm confused because Lauren told us you'd already agreed. Lauren's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. That mattered. Kim did not sound like somebody running a scheme. She sounded like somebody who had paid money based on information she trusted. I looked at Lauren. When did I agree? She set the fork down. You never object when the boys stay over. My grandsons have stayed over. 2 boys. Sometimes one night. They're family, Charles. So are you. I still ask before I put you on my calendar. Nathan rubbed a hand across his mouth. Can we drop this? No. One word. I had spent the better part of 3 years making things easier after Diane died. For Nathan. For Megan. Until Megan and I stopped speaking. For everybody who had a reason I should wait, swallow something, or let a bad week pass. Lauren leaned back. Fine. What are you saying? I never agreed to keep 10 children from Friday afternoon to Sunday evening. I'll give everybody a final answer by Friday morning after I check what I already committed to. Her eyebrows lifted. A final answer? Yes. You're making people wait now? They waited until 3 days before the trip to tell me. Kim looked down at her plate. Nathan stood so fast his chair legs scraped the hardwood. Dad. Enough. I looked up at him. Why? His nostrils flared, then settled. Because Megan drama does not need to ruin this weekend too. Nobody moved. I had not said Megan's name. Not once. Lauren turned toward him. Nathan seemed to catch his own mistake, because his hand closed around the back of his chair. I kept my voice level. What does Megan have to do with Saturday? Nathan picked up his water and drank, even though the glass was nearly empty. Nothing. I'm saying you've had enough family tension. Don't create more. It was an answer shaped like one. I slid my chair back. Thanks for dinner. Lauren stared at me. Charles. We are not finished. I am for tonight. Nobody stopped me at the door. The drive home took less than 20 minutes. I left the radio off. Nathan's sentence sat in the passenger seat with me. Megan drama. At home, I hung my jacket over the kitchen chair and took out the cream envelope. The house carried the faint smell of lemon oil from the cabinets. Upstairs, old pipes clicked as they cooled. I put Sophie's invitation beneath the kitchen light. Her commencement ceremony began Saturday morning. I read the note again. Grandpa, I don't know if Mom will be happy you're there, but I will. 18 months earlier, Megan and I had argued in nearly this same kitchen until neither of us was listening. Diane had been gone a little over a year. Megan had asked questions about a rental property I owned in Columbus. I defended Nathan before I understood what she was trying to show me. Finally, I had said, maybe we shouldn't talk for a while. For a while. I had never said forever. I opened the paper calendar beside the phone and wrote Sophie's graduation in the Saturday square. Then I turned back 3 weeks and marked the day the invitation had arrived. Friday, April 17th. Dates mattered. I pulled my phone closer. For several seconds, my thumb hovered over Sophie's name. I could call Nathan tomorrow. Ask what he knew. Let him explain. Let him stand between us one more time, because that was how things had worked since the argument. Instead, I typed directly to my granddaughter. I got your invitation. I'm planning to be there Saturday. The message showed delivered. I folded Sophie's note and slipped it back inside the envelope. Less than a minute later, my phone buzzed against the table. Sophie had answered. So Uncle Nathan finally told you? I read Sophie's message twice before calling her. She answered on the second ring. Voices moved behind her, young and bright, with the hollow echo of a campus hallway. A door slammed somewhere near her end of the call. Grandpa? Sophie said. Are you okay? I'm fine. I need you to tell me what you meant. A short pause. About Uncle Nathan? Yes. I thought he gave you the graduation information weeks ago. Her voice lowered. Mom sent it to him because she didn't want to push you. I pulled the kitchen chair out and sat down. The wood was cool beneath my palm. Why would your mother send it through Nathan? Because she thought that was what you wanted. What I wanted? Sophie exhaled softly. Grandpa, I don't want to get in the middle. I'm not asking you to choose anybody. I'm asking what you were told. That changed something in her voice. The words came slower. Mom said she tried a few times. Uncle Nathan told her, you still wanted space. So when graduation got close, I mailed the invitation myself. The paper calendar lay open beside me. Friday, April 17th. I had marked the date the night before. Did Nathan know you mailed it? I asked. I told him I was going to. When? Before I sent it. Maybe a day or two. The refrigerator motor clicked off, and the kitchen became too quiet. I wrote one line beneath the date. Nathan knew before invitation mailed. Sophie spoke again. Are you coming? Yes. Another pause, but this one sounded different. Lighter. Okay, she said. That's all I wanted to know. After we hung up, I did not call Nathan. For 35 years, people had brought me broken boilers, leaking roofs, missing purchase orders, and invoices that did not match the work. The fastest way to ruin an investigation was to accuse somebody before you knew what had actually happened. So I started smaller. Kim answered my call just after 9. Charles, if this is about last night, I'm sorry, she said. I really thought you knew. That's why I'm calling. What exactly did Lauren tell you? Kim was quiet for a moment. I heard a turn signal clicking on her end. Then the sound stopped. She said you confirmed you could take the kids. Those words? Pretty much. Did you ever hear that from me? No. Did anybody? I assumed Lauren had. I looked at the cream envelope on my table. Can you send me the message where she said it? Kim hesitated. Is this turning into some family court case? No. I want to know what was said in my name. That sounds like a court case when you say it that way. Despite myself, I almost smiled. A few seconds later, my phone buzzed. The screenshot showed a family group chat I was not part of. Near the bottom was Lauren's message. Dad, confirmed. He'll take all 10. Bring sleeping bags and food. Friday at 4 works. Below it were thumbs-up reactions and thank you messages. My name had done a lot of work in that conversation without me. Kim, I said. When was this sent? April 20th. 3 days after Sophie's invitation had arrived at my house, I enlarged the screenshot. Under Lauren's message, Kim had written, Thanks, Dad. Another parent had added, Tell him we owe him one. Someone else asked whether the kids should bring towels. Lauren answered every question, as if she were coordinating a reservation she owned. What bothered me most was how ordinary it looked. No threats. No argument. Just my name, placed into a plan, followed by people rearranging their money and their weekend because they believed I had spoken. By the time I learned about it, saying no would make me look like the person changing the arrangement. I wrote the date down. Kim cleared her throat. For what it's worth, I would have asked you myself if I knew you hadn't said yes. I believe you. That was as far as I took it. Kim had answered my question. I wasn't going to turn her into a messenger just because everybody else seemed comfortable doing it to me. By 10:30, Lauren was calling. I let the first call ring out, then answered the second. Charles, what are you doing? She asked. No hello today? This isn't funny. Kim says you're questioning people about the trip. I asked her what you told her. You're making everyone nervous. Show me where I said yes. Silence. Then Lauren spoke more carefully. You never said no. I wasn't asked. We have talked for months about wanting a family weekend. That isn't permission to assign me 10 children. Her breath came through the phone in one sharp burst. People are going to lose deposits because you decided at the last minute to be difficult. The message Kim sent me says you told them I confirmed on April 20th. Another pause. I thought Nathan had cleared it with you. Did Nathan tell you I said yes? Lauren did not answer that question. Instead, she said, Charles, you keep making this about wording when everyone is just trying to have one weekend together. Wording. I had spent a career watching wording turn estimates into approvals and requests into obligations. One sentence could move thousands of dollars if nobody stopped to ask who had authority to say it. From now on, I said, anything involving my time, my house, or a commitment made in my name goes through me in writing. Her voice flattened. That's a little dramatic. It's clear. I ended the call before clarity could be negotiated into something else. Nathan showed up after lunch. No warning, just 2 knocks, and the sound of my front doorbell before I reached the hallway. He stood on the porch in work pants and a blue polo, keys curled around one finger. "You're calling Lauren's family now?" he asked. Kim and I spoke. "Same thing." "No, it isn't." Nathan stepped inside when I moved back from the door. He smelled faintly of coffee and the peppermint gum he had chewed since high school. "Dad, this whole weekend is turning into a mess." It was a mess before anybody told me about it. "You could still fix it." There's that word again. What word? Fix. His keys stopped moving. I walked into the kitchen. Nathan followed, and his eyes landed on the calendar before I closed it. "Whatever this thing is with Megan," he said, "don't drag everybody else into it." I rested one hand on the calendar cover. "What thing with Megan?" Nathan frowned. "You know what I mean." "No. Tell me." He looked toward the window, then back at me. "Sophie's graduation. Megan. All of it. You two haven't spoken in forever, and now suddenly you're going to make some statement at graduation?" I had told Sophie I was coming. I had told no one else. "How did you know I planned to go?" Nathan's mouth opened, then closed. "Sophie probably told me." "Probably?" "Dad, stop interrogating me. I asked one question. You always do this. You get a date, a text, one little detail, and suddenly everybody has to defend themselves." That was almost exactly what Lauren had said in another form. Not that the facts were wrong. That checking them was the offense. Nathan picked up his keys from the counter. "Don't let Megan drama wreck a trip that has nothing to do with her." He left before I answered. The front door closed with a solid wooden thud. I stood in the kitchen for several seconds, then opened the calendar again. Sophie told Nathan she planned to mail the invitation before April 17th. The invitation arrived April 17th. Lauren told her family I had confirmed babysitting on April 20th. Nathan knew, somehow, that I intended to attend the graduation before I told him. None of that proved why the vacation had been scheduled for that weekend. Dates could line up by accident. Families made plans. People talked. I wrote one more sentence beneath the others. "Do not guess. Ask directly." The name I had avoided for 18 months sat in my contacts exactly where it had always been. Megan Mercer. Before I could press call, Sophie texted me again. "Can I ask you something without Mom knowing?" I asked. I typed, "Of course." The reply came almost immediately. "Mom sent Uncle Nathan 3 emails for you. Did you really never see them?" "No," I typed back to Sophie. "I never saw them." The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then returned. "Then you need to talk to Mom." I did not ask Sophie to forward anything. If Megan had written the emails, I wanted them from Megan. Too much had already passed through other people. I called my daughter. She answered after 4 rings. "Dad?" Her voice was quieter than I remembered. No greeting after that. No accusation either. "Sophie told me about 3 emails you sent Nathan." Silence stretched long enough for the coffee maker in my kitchen to click off. "I wondered when you'd hear about those," Megan said. "Can we meet?" Another pause. "There's a coffee shop on Riverside, 4:30. I'll be there." "That's not forgiveness, Dad." "I didn't ask for it." "Good." She hung up. At 4:27, I found Megan at a table near the back wall, with a paper cup between both hands. 18 months had changed small things. Her hair was shorter. There were faint lines beside her mouth I did not remember. The bigger change was the empty chair across from her. She had not saved it with a coat or purse. She had simply left it open. I sat. Megan did not stand. "Before you say, Nathan lied about everything," she said. "You told me to stay away. I told you, maybe we shouldn't talk for a while. That was after you told me I was tearing the family apart. You told me I always chose the easier child." Her fingers tightened around the cup. "I did. And I used that sentence to stop listening to everything else." For the first time, her eyes lifted to mine. "That part is true," Megan said. I nodded. "Then let's start with what's true." A barista called somebody's name near the counter. Megan waited until the customer passed our table before speaking again. After that fight, Nathan called me, she said. He said you needed quiet and that I should go through him if something important came up. At the time, that sounded reasonable. So you let him become the door between us. So did you. The answer came without heat. That made it harder to dodge. Nathan had handled repairs for me. Tenant calls, little family errands, things Diane and I once divided between us. After she died, letting one dependable person carry messages had felt efficient. I had never stopped to ask what happened when the messenger decided which messages deserved delivery. Megan pulled her phone from her purse. The first email was dated December 14th, 2024, a few weeks after our argument. Nathan, please tell Dad I should not have said what I said about him always choosing the easier child. I was angry, and I made it personal. I still believe the property numbers need to be checked, but I want to apologize to him without turning it into another fight. If he is willing, give him my number again and ask him to call. Nathan had replied from his own email address. He wants space. I'll let you know when he's ready. I read it twice. I never told him that. I know that now, Megan said. I didn't know it then. The second exchange was from March 3rd, 2025. Sophie wants Grandpa at her birthday dinner. I am not asking him to pretend nothing happened. Please ask if he wants to come. If the answer is no, I will respect it. Nathan's reply came the same afternoon. He isn't ready. Don't put Sophie in the middle. My thumb rested against the edge of Megan's phone. Nobody asked me. No. The third email was dated August 22nd. This one was shorter. I still have the lease attachment and the owner summary I tried to show Dad. The numbers did not match when I looked at them. I don't know why. I want him to see them and decide for himself. I'm not asking you to agree with me, Nathan replied the next morning. Dad does not want to discuss the property with you. Let it go. I handed the phone back. Around us, cups knocked against tabletops and milk hissed behind the counter. Somebody laughed near the front door. Ordinary sounds. They made the words on that screen harder to dismiss. What numbers? I asked. Megan leaned back. That is where we got into trouble last time. I'm asking now. One lease amount didn't match one of the monthly summaries Nathan gave you. I had one attachment and one summary. That was all. I did not have bank records. I did not know whether there was an explanation. But you accused him. Yes. How strongly? Her mouth tightened. Strongly enough that you stopped hearing me. That landed where it belonged. I rubbed my thumb across a nick in the tabletop. I defended Nathan before I checked. You did, and you treated a question like a conviction. I did. Neither of us apologized again. Not yet. Megan turned her cup slowly between her palms. I'm not asking you to believe me about the property. Good. I won't. One corner of her mouth moved, but it was not quite a smile. What I will do, I said, is look at whatever you actually had. I can send you copies. Send only what you already had then, nothing interpreted, nothing highlighted. That sounds like you. It used to irritate you. It still does. That was the closest we came to normal. Before we left, Megan said she would tell Nathan she had shown me the emails. You don't have to, I said. I do. I'm done having him speak for me too. Outside, cars moved along Riverside under a low wash of evening traffic. Megan stopped beside her car. Are you really coming Saturday? Yes. She looked down at her keys. Sophie will be glad. What about you? Megan opened the driver's door. I'll be there. It was not an answer. For now it was enough. By 8 the next morning, my phone already held 2 messages from Lauren asking whether I had come to my senses. I made coffee, opened the family thread Kim had added me to, and typed slowly enough that there could be no argument about wording. I did not agree to babysit 10 children this weekend. Please make other childcare arrangements. Do not bring any children to my house at 4 this afternoon. I am sending this before noon, so every household has time to adjust before departure. Lauren answered first. You are dropping this on everyone at the last minute. I attached the screenshot Kim had sent me. On April 20th, you told everyone I had confirmed. I had not. For several minutes, the thread filled with typing bubbles that vanished before messages appeared. Then one parent wrote that she wished she had checked with me herself. Another asked Lauren why I had not been included in the original conversation. Lauren answered neither question. No speech followed from me. No defense of my character, just the record. Messages began coming in separately. One parent asked whether I could take only 2 children. I said no. Another wanted to know if I could cover Saturday morning. No, again. At 10:15, Kim called. "Well," she said, "you got your weekend. That sounds expensive." "It is. We found a sitter. One of the guys is staying home with his kids, and another household backed out completely. I'm sorry you lost money." I'm still irritated. "You're allowed." Kim sighed. "But you didn't say yes." I checked the thread. "There's nothing from you because you weren't even in it." That sentence should have felt like a win. Instead, I looked at Megan's 3 emails printed beside my calendar. My weekend was mine again. Something larger was not. Just before noon, Nathan called. His first words were, "So you met Megan? She told you?" "Yes. At least somebody still does." I let that sit. Nathan continued. "Lauren's family is scrambling because you decided to prove a point. I decided what happens with my own time." "You know what this looks like?" "No. Tell me." "It looks like Megan snapped her fingers, and you went running back. I met my daughter for coffee. After 18 months. Yes." Nathan's voice dropped. "You think 1 cup of coffee changes what she did?" "I'm not discussing Megan with you. That's convenient." "No, it's direct." A breath scraped through the phone. Then Nathan said, "Go to Sophie's graduation if you want. Just don't expect my kids to understand why Grandpa chose her side." Nathan's last sentence stayed with me all the way to Saturday morning. Don't expect my kids to understand why Grandpa chose her side. I heard it again as I walked into the graduation arena and followed the ushers toward the family seating. Shoes squeaked on polished concrete. Programs rustled everywhere. The air smelled like coffee, perfume, and the faint rubbery scent of folding chairs that had been unfolded by the hundreds. Then I saw Megan. She was 3 rows ahead, sitting beside an empty chair. No coat on it, no purse. Just a folded commencement program resting on the seat. Megan noticed me before I reached the row. Her fingers stopped turning the silver ring on her right hand. For half a second, neither of us moved. Then she picked up the program. "This seat's open," she said. I nodded. "Looks like it." That was all. No hug. No apology in front of strangers. No pretending 18 months had vanished because our daughter and granddaughter had finally gotten us into the same building. On the seat, Sophie had written her name across the top of the program, then added 1 word beneath it in blue ink. Grandpa. The letters were small enough that nobody else would notice, unless they picked it up. I touched the corner of the paper, and Megan watched my hand without saying anything. She wasn't sure, Megan said. Neither was I. I sat beside her. When the graduates began filing in, the crowd rose. Music rolled through the arena speakers, hard enough to vibrate through the metal railing in front of us. Megan leaned forward, searching the black gowns. "There," she said. Sophie was waving before I found her. Not at the whole section. At us. Her grin widened when she saw me beside her mother. I raised one hand. Megan lowered her eyes to the program, but not before I saw her mouth press tight. For the next hour, we did something our family had forgotten how to do. We shared a moment without asking Nathan to explain it. Sophie crossed the stage near the end. Her name came over the speakers, followed by a burst of cheering from our section. Megan stood. So did I. My granddaughter looked toward us before she took the diploma cover. That empty chair had been waiting for me. Nathan had not decided whether I could sit in it. After the ceremony, Sophie found us outside the arena beneath a concrete overhang crowded with families taking pictures. She came straight toward me and wrapped both arms around my shoulders. "You came." I said I would. "I know. But..." She pulled back and looked at her mother. Megan adjusted the strap of her purse. "Say what you mean, Soph." Sophie glanced between us. "I used to think Grandpa just didn't want to come to things." The sentence landed quietly. Birthday dinners, Christmas brunch, a school fundraiser I heard about afterward. Little absences that had gathered until somebody younger than all of us had given them a meaning. I looked at Sophie. I should have asked you directly. I didn't, but Uncle Nathan said you wanted space. Megan's chin lifted slightly. I shook my head. This isn't about what your uncle said today. I'm talking about what I should have done. Sophie studied me for a moment, then nodded. All right. She did not make it easy for me by saying it was fine. Good. A photographer called her back toward a group of graduates. Sophie hugged me once more and hurried away, black gown lifting behind her as she ran. Megan watched her go. You didn't blame Nathan, she said. I'm trying to stop speaking through other people. That would be new for both of us. We looked at each other. Then, somehow, we both laughed. Not much, just enough to loosen something that had been clenched too long. An hour later, after photographs and family introductions, Megan and I sat in a small diner a few blocks from the arena. Sophie had gone with classmates before meeting her mother later for dinner. Neither Megan nor I had suggested the diner at first. We had reached the parking lot, stopped beside our separate cars, and discovered that neither of us was ready to leave with the conversation unfinished. The place smelled like grilled onions and coffee, plates knocked together behind the counter. Megan ordered iced tea. I kept turning my paper napkin between two fingers. Finally, I said, "Tell me about Unit 3. Her glass stopped halfway to her mouth. Dad, today doesn't have to become that. It already became that 18 months ago. We just never finished the conversation. Megan set the glass down. All right. But I'm going to say this carefully. I'd appreciate that. In November of 2024, I saw a lease for Unit 3, showing rent at $1,750 a month. I waited. The owner summary Nathan gave you for November listed actual rent received for that same unit as $1,500. Same tenant? Yes. Same lease period? Yes. No renewal gap? No. I leaned back. Why did you have the lease? Because you sent it to me. I frowned. Megan reached for her phone. After Mom died, you were still sorting the property files yourself. You emailed me the renewal and asked me to print 2 clean copies because your printer kept smearing the signature page. That memory came back in pieces. A toner cartridge on my kitchen counter. Megan dropping off a manila folder before taking Sophie to dinner. I still have the email, she said. And the attachment. Show me. Megan opened her mailbox, searched my name, then turned the phone toward me. There it was. My email address. The Unit 3 lease renewal attached below it. The dates covered November of 2024. Monthly rent, $1,750. Megan opened another file she had saved from the argument we had 18 months earlier. A monthly owner summary. Nathan had prepared using the template I had given him. Unit 3. November. Actual rent received, $1,500. $250 apart. I did not say what the difference meant. Not yet. Could the tenant have paid short? Could have. Could Nathan have corrected it the next month? Maybe. Could there have been a credit I forgot approving? Megan gave a small shrug. That's why I tried to ask. I stared at the 2 screens. Back then you said he was taking money. I said the numbers looked wrong, and then I got angry when you defended him before checking. After that, I said more than I could prove. That part matters. I know. Her voice had no fight in it. Neither did mine. The check arrived between us in a black plastic tray. I paid it. And outside the diner, Megan emailed me the lease attachment and the old summary. Dad, she said before getting into her car, one mismatch doesn't prove Nathan did anything. I know. Are you going to call him? No. That surprised her. What are you going to do? Check my records. When I got home, I went straight to the filing cabinet in the spare bedroom. Nathan had been sending me monthly owner summaries since he took over part-time property operations after Diane died. The template was mine. 4 fields for each unit. Scheduled rent. Actual rent received. Itemized expenses. Owner net. Simple on purpose. I carried the folders to the dining table and arranged them by month. November of 2024 came first. Unit 3 showed scheduled rent at $1,750. Actual rent received at $1,500. An expense line followed beneath it. Then the owner net. I pulled the lease Megan had emailed and laid it beside the summary. Same unit, same tenant, same month, same field, different numbers. My old job had taught me not to chase every suspicious invoice at once. Start where the paper disagrees with itself. Confirm one thing, then widen the circle. I found December, then January. My hand stopped before opening either folder. 18 months of summaries filled the file box beside my chair. For 3 years after Diane died, I had treated Nathan's help like one less door I had to open. Now, I had to open every one of them. I circled the 2 numbers on the November documents, wrote verify in the margin, and stacked the remaining folders in date order. Tomorrow, I would check all 18 months. By 8 Sunday morning, my dining table had disappeared beneath 18 months of paper. I started with November. Unit 3. Same tenant, same lease, same month. The lease said $1,750. Nathan's owner summary said, actual rent received was $1,500. I moved to December. Scheduled rent still showed $1,750. Actual rent received was listed as $1,500 again. January dropped by another 100, with a round number expense marked turnover materials, even though the same tenant remained in the unit. I stopped there. 3 months were enough to justify a closer look. More than that, without another source, would only tempt me to start inventing explanations. The folders smelled faintly of paper dust and the cedar blocks Diane used to keep in the filing cabinet. I pushed my coffee aside before I could stain anything and pulled the employment folder from the bottom drawer. Nathan had started helping with the fourplex in October of 2023, several months after Diane died. I remembered drafting the duties memo because I did not want family help to become one of those arrangements where nobody knew what had been promised. The first page carried my signature and Nathan's. Fixed payroll, $500 per month, tenant communication, rent collection, scheduling routine maintenance, basic vendor coordination. No additional compensation without a written amendment signed by me. Reimbursements required receipts. Any repair over $750 required my written approval. I read the last 3 lines again. Nathan had real authority. I had given it to him. But not unlimited authority. That distinction mattered more than anything I was feeling about him. At 9:30, I opened the operating account on my laptop. My name was still the owner. Nathan had signer access because I had added him as an employee when he took over the routine work. I had never lost access. I had simply stopped looking closely. That was mine to own. The bank statements loaded month by month. For a minute, I stared at the account balance instead of opening the first statement. It would have been easy to close the laptop and tell myself Nathan had done me a favor when I needed one. Diane had been gone. I had been tired. He had stepped in. Then I opened November. November rent from Unit 3 had not come in short. The tenant payment hit the account for $1,750 on the 3rd. I leaned closer to the screen. Nathan's summary said $1,500 received. The bank said $1,750. The money had arrived. It had only been reported differently afterward. I checked December. Full rent again. Then January. Again. A knot formed between my shoulder blades from hunching over the laptop. I stood, rolled my neck, then printed only the pages I needed. Gross deposits on one side, Nathan's summaries on the other. That was when the transfers caught my attention. His regular payroll payment was easy to identify. $500, same week every month. Nothing unusual there. Other transfers sat beside his regular payroll. $800 in November, $800 in December, $800 again in January. The memo field on each said, Management Adjustment. I searched the employment folder for an amendment. Nothing. No second compensation agreement. No revised pay schedule. No page with my signature authorizing management adjustments. That did not automatically make the transfers improper. There could be an email, a receipt, something I had forgotten, so I wrote one word beside them. Verify. Before noon, I called the tenant in Unit 3. Linda, it's Charles Mercer. I'm reviewing some owner records. I need to confirm one payment from November of 2024. She sounded surprised. Sure. Is something wrong? I don't know yet. That's why I'm confirming. Paper rustled on her end. You paid $1,750 that month? Yes. Full amount? Yes. Online, like always. Any credit, discount, or arrangement to pay part later? No. Would you mind sending me the receipt from the portal? Of course. Her email reached me while we were still on the phone. $1,750, paid in full. I thanked her and called another tenant from a month where the summary also looked low. Same process, same limited questions. The second receipt matched the bank deposit, not the number Nathan had placed in my owner summary. 2 confirmations, enough to keep going, not enough to decide the ending. I drove to the fourplex after lunch because one item in the summaries bothered me more than the small discrepancies. A roof emergency. $12,000. The property sat on a quiet street in Columbus, 4 brick units, with a narrow strip of grass in front and a maple tree near the driveway. I parked at the curb and looked up from the sidewalk. A dark patch was visible near the rear slope. I recognized it. That patch had been there before Nathan began managing the property. But I kept my hands in my coat pockets. A roof could fail somewhere I could not see. Flashing could leak. Decking could rot beneath shingles. Looking from the ground proved almost nothing. Inside the maintenance file, I found the paperwork Nathan had saved. 1 roofing company estimate, 1 inspection sheet, no paid invoice, no completion notice, no photograph showing completed work, and no written approval from me for a $12,000 repair. I pulled up the bank record on my phone. The money had not gone to the roofing company. It had gone to Nathan. $12,000. Memo. Roof reimbursement. The paper in my hand made a dry snapping sound when I flattened it against the hood of my car. I did not remember approving that payment. Memory was not evidence either. So I wrote down the roofing company's name and phone number. Call vendor. Not today. I wanted the documents first. Nathan called before I reached home. Dad, why are you calling tenants? His voice had the clipped tone he used when he wanted an answer before giving one. I'm verifying owner records. You're making people think something's wrong. I asked 2 tenants what they paid. You don't need to do that. I have the summaries. I'm looking at them. Silence. Then Nathan said, What exactly are you trying to prove? I'm not trying to prove anything. You met with Megan, and now suddenly you're auditing me. I'm checking records I own. His breath came through the speaker. What records? The extra transfers labeled management adjustment. I need the written amendment authorizing them. They're management stuff, Dad. That's not a document. You knew I handled more than $500 worth of work. That may be true. Send me the amendment. Another silence. I set my keys on the kitchen counter. And I need the paid invoice for the roof reimbursement. Nathan answered. Faster this time. That was an emergency. I have the estimate. Then you have the paperwork. An estimate is not a paid invoice. You're splitting hairs. $12,000 went from the property account to you. I'm asking for the vendor invoice showing what you reimbursed. His voice sharpened. You trusted me for 3 years. Yes. The word stopped him for a moment. Then he said, So Megan gets 1 coffee with you and suddenly everything I did is suspicious. This conversation is about records. It's never just about records with you. I looked at the duties memo beside my laptop. My signature. His signature. Send me the amendment and the invoice. I'll look. When? Dad. I said. I'll look. He ended the call. I waited 10 minutes, then opened my email. Phone calls had become too easy to reshape afterward. I wrote Nathan a short message listing exactly what I needed. Any written amendment authorizing compensation above his fixed monthly payroll. Receipts supporting reimbursements transferred to him. The paid roofing invoice. Proof of payment to the roofing vendor. And my written approval for the repair. No accusations. No conclusions. just records. His reply arrived 23 minutes later. There was never a formal amendment because we handled things as they came up. I'll have to dig for the roof paperwork. This feels excessive. I read the message once, then again. The first answer was not an amendment. The second was not an invoice. 18 months of summaries sat beside me, but for the first time, I was not looking at a number that failed to match another number. I was looking at a document that should have existed, and Nathan could not send it. Nathan's email was still open on my laptop when I sat down Monday morning. There was never a formal amendment because we handled things as they came up. That sentence answered one question and created another. I opened a new message. Nathan, I need a complete accounting for the period from November of 2024 through April of 2026. Please send the rent roll, monthly owner summaries, invoices, receipts supporting reimbursements, any written compensation amendments, and documentation for repairs charged to the operating account. Please, do not delete, alter, or discard property records while I review them. I read it once before sending. No accusation, no mention of Megan, no argument about Sophie's graduation. Property records, specific dates, specific documents. Nathan replied 9 minutes later, "This is getting ridiculous. I'll send what I have when I have time." I printed that too. At the bank, the woman behind the desk introduced herself as Marissa and asked for my driver's license, account number, and the documents showing I owned the operating account. Her keyboard clicked while she reviewed the profile. "You're the sole account owner," Marissa said. "Nathan Mercer is an authorized signer, not a joint owner." "That's correct. And you want his signing authority removed?" "Yes." She turned the monitor slightly away while entering something. "I'll need you to verify a security code, then sign the change request. We'll also replace the online credentials tied to his access. The account itself stays open." "That's what I want. Tenants still need a place to pay rent." Marissa nodded. "Removing a signer does not reverse prior transactions. If you're disputing older transfers, that's separate." "I understand." That mattered. I was not asking the bank to decide whether Nathan had taken anything improperly. I was stopping him from moving another dollar while I found out. My phone buzzed while Marissa printed the form. "Nathan." I let it ring. A second call came before I finished signing, then a text. "Did you seriously call the bank?" I looked at the words but did not answer until Marissa handed me the final confirmation. Nathan no longer had signer access. For the first time in more than 2 years, every outgoing payment from the property account required me. I typed one sentence. "I removed your account authority while the records are being reviewed." His response arrived before I reached the parking lot. "You have lost your mind." I put the phone in my pocket. The next problem was practical. 4 families lived in that building. A stop toilet did not care about my argument with my son. Neither did a leaking water heater. From my car, I emailed all 4 tenants. "This is Charles Mercer, the owner. Effective immediately, please continue paying rent through the existing owner-controlled account. For the next several days, send maintenance requests directly to me at this email and phone number. Nathan is no longer handling property operations. Your leases and payment terms are unchanged." Linda responded first. "Thanks for letting us know. Do we need to do anything else?" "No," I wrote. "Nothing changes for you." I spent the afternoon speaking with 2 licensed property management companies in Columbus. I did not tell either one my son had stolen from me. I did not know what final label belonged on the records yet. I told them I needed a company to take over tenant communication, routine maintenance, vendor coordination, rent tracking, and monthly owner reporting for a 4-unit building. The first company wanted a longer contract than I liked. The second sent a sample management agreement and a list of services before the call ended. "Take your time reading it," the broker told me. "If you have questions about what we can approve without owner consent, mark them. We can set dollar limits." Dollar limits. I almost laughed. "Believe me," I said, "I'm going to mark them." By Tuesday morning, I had selected the second company and scheduled the onboarding. They would not take over that day. There were documents to sign, tenant notices to coordinate, vendor contacts to transfer. Fine. For a few days, I could answer my own phone. What I could not control was the family group chat. Lauren's message appeared shortly after breakfast. I hope everyone understands what's happening. Charles punished the whole family over one missed vacation, and now Megan has him tearing into Nathan's work after everything Nathan did for him when Diane died. I read it standing at the kitchen counter. Another message followed. We tried to give Dad space. Apparently that was a mistake. Kim did not respond. Neither did two of the other relatives. Lauren kept going. Nathan has spent years helping him with tenants, repairs, bills, all of it. Now he gets treated like a criminal because Megan is back. The old impulse rose quickly. Correct every sentence. Explain the unsigned compensation. Explain the missing receipts. Post the bank records. Prove that graduation had nothing to do with why I removed account access. My fingers were already over the keyboard. Then I stopped. That was the same trap as the babysitting weekend. Lauren put a finished story in front of people and waited for me to either accept it or exhaust myself arguing with it. I wrote only this. This is a private property accounting matter. I won't discuss Nathan's financial records in a family group chat. My decision about babysitting was separate. I never agreed to provide childcare. Lauren replied almost immediately. Convenient. I muted the thread. The kitchen became quiet again, but the argument was still moving without me and phones all over the family. At 11, Nathan called. This time I answered. You embarrassed me with the tenants, he said. I notified them about a change in management. You made it sound like I did something. I said you were no longer handling operations. Same thing. No. And backling. His voice dropped. You already took the account. What else do you want? The records I requested. You're really going through with this? Yes. A cabinet door shut hard on his end. Then Nathan said, the boys need space from this mess. My hand tightened around the phone. What does that mean? It means Lauren and I don't want them dragged into whatever you and Megan are doing. They are not part of the property review. They're part of this family. So am I. Nathan did not answer. How much space? I asked. We'll see. A day? A week? A month? I said we'll see. I looked through the kitchen doorway at the framed photograph on my mantel. Nathan's boys were standing beside me at a minor league baseball game, both of them holding foam fingers too large for their arms. Do not tell them this is because I don't want to see them. Nathan gave a short, humorless laugh. You don't get to control how they feel, Dad. I'm talking about what you tell them. You wanted boundaries. Now you have them. The call ended. For several minutes, I stood with the phone still against my ear. Then I opened my notebook and wrote down the time and the exact phrase. The boys need space from this mess. Underneath it, I wrote, property issue does not involve children. I did not drive to Nathan's house. I did not call Lauren. I did not ask Megan to intervene. At 6:15 that evening, while I was reviewing the property management agreement, my phone rang from Nathan's home number. I answered on the first ring. Hello? Grandpa? My older grandson's voice came through low and hurried. Hey, buddy. Dad said we're not supposed to bother you. I sat down slowly. You never bother me. A television played somewhere behind him. Then footsteps crossed a floor. He lowered his voice even more. Are you mad at us? No. Then why can't we come over? You and I don't have a problem. But Dad said you don't want to see us anymore. My chair scraped against the floor. That is not true. A voice called his name from farther away. He rushed the next words. Grandpa, why don't you want to see us anymore? I do want to see you. Another call from the background, closer this time. I have to go. The line went dead. I kept the phone in my hand. That morning, I had taken back control of my property. By evening, Nathan had found something I could not protect with a bank form. By Wednesday, I had written my grandson's question at the top of a legal pad and drawn a line underneath it. Not because I needed reminding, because I needed to keep it separate. On the left side of the page, I wrote, family communication. On the right, property money. My dining table still held rent summaries and bank statements, but I pushed them into one stack. The emails from Megan went into another. If I mixed every ugly thing Nathan had done into one pile, I could make almost any conclusion look inevitable. That was not the same as proving it. The grandfather clock in the hallway ticked through the silence while I worked. Paper rasped beneath my palm. Cold coffee left a bitter film on my tongue. Under family communication, I wrote 3 dates. December 14th, 2024. Megan asked Nathan to tell me she wanted to apologize. March 3rd, 2025. Megan asked Nathan to invite me to Sophie's birthday. August 22nd, 2025. Megan asked Nathan to show me the least discrepancy. Each time, Nathan answered for me. Then I added April 17th, 2026. Graduation invitation received. I called Megan. She answered with, "What happened? Nothing new with the property." Then why do you sound like that? I need one date confirmed. When did Nathan know Sophie's graduation was Saturday? There was a pause, then the faint click of a keyboard. I have an email thread. Read me the date first. April 17th, the same day Sophie's envelope arrived. What does it say? Megan took a breath. I sent Nathan the commencement details because Sophie had already mailed your invitation. I wrote, her ceremony is Saturday, May 9th, at 10. She wants Dad there. I'm not asking you to pressure him. Just make sure he hears about it. And Nathan? He replied 20 minutes later. Her keyboard clicked again. Got it. Saturday the 9th. I'll make sure Dad hears about it. I closed my eyes, not to steady myself, but to hear the wording again without adding anything to it. He knew the date. He said he would make sure I heard about it. He did neither of the things those words implied. Forward the thread, I said. You think the vacation was planned because of graduation? I think Nathan knew the date before I knew whether the vacation dates were already set. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. Megan was quiet. Then she said, Good. What? You're checking before deciding. I looked at the 2 columns on my pad. I learned that one late. Her email arrived before we hung up. The next question belonged to Kim. She agreed to meet me at a bakery near her office Thursday morning. When I arrived, she was already sitting with a cinnamon roll untouched in front of her and her phone face down beside it. I'm not getting involved in the rental thing, she said before I sat. I didn't ask you to. Lauren thinks I'm feeding you ammunition. Are you? Kim pushed the phone toward me. I'm trying to figure out why my husband and I paid for a sitter after being told the babysitter was already handled. Fair enough. She opened the vacation group chat and scrolled back. April 18th. One day after Nathan confirmed Sophie's graduation date, Lauren had written, Cabin is available May 8th through 10th. Nathan says Dad has that weekend open, so childcare should be easy. A few messages followed about bedrooms and deposits. Then Nathan himself appeared in the thread. That weekend works. I stared at the screen. Not, ask Dad. Not, I think he's free. That weekend works. Kim tapped farther down. On April 20th, Lauren wrote, Dad confirmed. He'll take all 10. That was the message I had already seen. Beneath it was the payment confirmation for the cabin deposit. April 20th. I asked Kim to scroll back one more time. Was another weekend discussed before the 18th? Not in this chat. Did Nathan ever say he had asked me? She searched. No. Did Lauren? No. She just starts talking like it's settled. The espresso machine shrieked behind the counter. Kim flinched and reached for her coffee. Charles, what are you saying happened? I'm not saying yet. She gave me a tired look. You always make people work for the noun. I'm trying not to use the wrong one. I asked her to forward only the relevant section of the chat, including the timestamps and Nathan's message. She did. No speeches. No promise that I would expose anyone. Just dates. Before I left, Kim wrapped the untouched cinnamon roll in a napkin and kept her eyes on the table. Lauren told me you were doing this because Megan got into your head, she said. That's her version. And Nathan? I haven't heard his version without Lauren beside him or a phone call ending when I ask for a document. Kim rubbed a thumb over the cardboard cup sleeve. I'm mad at her. I'm also mad at myself. I thanked you in that chat like you were an employee on a schedule. You believed what you were told. I could have called you. Yes. She looked up, expecting me to soften it. I didn't. After a moment, Kim nodded. Fair. That mattered more than an apology designed to end the subject. She had been part of the pressure, even if she had not invented it. Now she was willing to look at the record she had helped create. Keep the full chat, I told her. Don't edit anything for me. I wasn't planning to. I know. I'm saying I only want what actually happened. Kim gave a small, tired laugh. You really do turn everything into paperwork. Paperwork has one advantage. What's that? It doesn't get offended when you ask it what happened. At home, I printed the new pages and placed them beside Megan's email. April 17th. Nathan knew Sophie's graduation was Saturday, May 9th. April 18th. Lauren wrote that Nathan said I had that weekend open. Nathan wrote, that weekend works. April 20th. Lauren told everyone I had confirmed. Then the dinner. Nathan telling me, whatever you've got planned, move it. I remembered the way he had cut his ham into smaller pieces without eating them, the way he had answered a question about Saturday with a command. That memory meant something now. But memory did not get to become more than the documents allowed. I could say Nathan knew the graduation date. I could say he told Lauren I was free. I could say he endorsed that weekend before I ever agreed to childcare. I could not say, as a fact, that he chose the trip solely to keep me away from Sophie and Megan. There was still room for denial. What bothered me was not one message. It was the shape created by all of them. To Megan, Nathan had said, I wanted space. To Lauren's family, Nathan had said I was available. To me, he had said everyone was already counting on me. 3 groups, 3 versions, 1 person standing in the middle. I moved to the second column. Property money. Nathan had also been standing between me and the tenants. Between me and repair vendors. Between the bank activity and the owner summaries, I trusted him to prepare. That did not prove the family isolation was designed to protect the money, but it gave him a reason to dislike direct contact. Megan had challenged the rental numbers. When Megan was outside my life, those questions disappeared with her. I sat back and listened to the clock. A pattern was not a confession. Still, I no longer believed the babysitting mess was just Lauren being presumptuous. There had been coordination. How much? And why? Nathan would have to answer for himself. My phone buzzed with a message from Lauren. Are you done investigating your family yet? I deleted nothing. I answered nothing. Instead, I opened a new text to Nathan. We need to talk privately, just you and me. No Lauren, no Megan, no kids, no family chat. I have 3 specific questions, and I want your answers directly. Saturday at my house, 10 in the morning. The typing indicator appeared almost at once, then vanished. It came back. Nathan's reply finally arrived. About what? I looked at the 2 columns on the table. Communication, money. For years, Nathan had decided what reached whom. This time, I answered him myself. You already know enough to show up. Nathan arrived at 10:12 on Saturday morning. Not 10. 10:12. I noticed because the kitchen clock clicked once as he came through the front door, and because dates and times had become harder for me to ignore. He did not take off his jacket. You said 3 questions, Nathan said. I did. He looked toward the dining table. I had cleared away most of the folders. Only a few papers remained, face down. Where's Megan? Not here. Lauren? Not here. Nathan gave a short nod. Good. Then ask. I stayed standing. First, why did you answer Megan's emails as if you were speaking for me? His jaw tightened. Because every time you 2 talked, it turned into a fight. That wasn't the question. I was trying to keep things calm. You told her I wasn't ready to speak. You never asked me. Nathan looked at the window. You told her you wanted space. For a while. You weren't exactly rushing to call her. That still did not give you permission to answer for me. He exhaled through his nose. Second, I said. Why did you tell Lauren I was free on the graduation weekend after you already knew Sophie wanted me there? Nathan's eyes came back to mine. I didn't know you were going. You knew the ceremony date. That doesn't mean I knew you were attending. You wrote, "That weekend works. For the trip. For my weekend." He shook his head. "You're turning scheduling into some grand scheme because you want it to fit. I'm not telling you why you did it. I'm asking why you told people I was available without asking me. Because you usually are. That is not consent." Nathan's mouth pulled tight. I let the silence sit for a moment. Third question. Where is the written amendment that authorized the extra compensation transfers? His shoulders dropped a fraction. There wasn't one. So what authorized them? My work. That is not what our duties memo says. You paid me $500 a month to deal with 4 tenants, maintenance calls, contractors, late nights, weekends. You know that wasn't enough. Then you could have asked for more. I shouldn't have had to beg my own father to be paid fairly. You didn't beg. You transferred the money yourself. His voice rose. I earned it. Then show me where I agreed to it. Nathan stepped away from the table. Nathan dragged a chair out but did not sit. You know how many times I drove over there after dinner? He said. How many calls I took because somebody's sink backed up? I know you worked. Then what are we doing? Separating work. I approved from money. You approved for yourself. His fingers tightened around the chair back. There were supplies, gas, small repairs, receipts, not for every little thing. The reimbursements were not all little. Nathan looked at the face-down papers. So you've already totaled them. I've identified them. I'm still verifying support. He gave me a look I recognized from his teenage years. The one that said the question itself was unfair. You really want me to dig through years of receipts because Megan decided I'm the bad son? No. I want you to produce records because you handled somebody else's money. My father's money. That does not make the account yours. The chair leg scraped when Nathan shoved it back under the table. For the first time that morning, his voice went quiet. I was the one who showed up after Mom died. I know. Megan wasn't. She and I were fighting. And I was here. Yes. He waited, as if the next word should cancel the questions. It didn't. Being here mattered, I said. It did not rewrite what we signed. This is exactly what Megan wanted. I said nothing. He pointed at the papers. She starts digging through one lease. Then suddenly, everything I did for you gets treated like I was working an angle. Megan did not create the bank transfers. None of this would have blown up if Megan had left the rentals alone. The sentence hung between us. Nathan seemed to hear it too, because his hand dropped. I watched him for several seconds. You considered her questions a problem. I considered her interference a problem. That is not the same thing as saying the numbers were right. You already decided what you believe. No. I decided what I can document. He gave a dry laugh. And the vacation? What? Now you think I scheduled it to keep you from graduation? I can't prove what you and Lauren said when I wasn't there. I can prove you knew the graduation date, then told the group that weekend worked and that I was free. That proves nothing. It proves exactly what I just said. Nathan stared at me. For once, I did not need him to agree. After he left, I called the roofing company listed on the estimate I had found in the maintenance folder. A woman named Teresa answered. I gave her the property address and the estimate date. Keys tapped on her end. Yes, she said. We inspected that building. Did your company perform the roof work? More typing. No, sir. We issued an estimate. I don't show a signed contract. Did you receive $12,000? No. Any payment at all? I show the inspection fee. $225. That was paid by card. Was a paid invoice issued for replacement work? No. I asked her to email copies of the estimate record and the account history tied to the property. They arrived before lunch. Estimate only. No completed job. No $12,000 payment. The bank statement already showed where the $12,000 had gone. Nathan. Monday afternoon. I carried organized copies to an independent CPA named Paul Avery. I had used his firm once years earlier for a depreciation question, but he had never handled the fourplex bookkeeping. Paul spread the records across a conference table. What do you want from me? He asked. Arithmetic and document support, nothing else. Meaning, tell me what came in, what went out, what the summaries reported, and which transfers have support in these records. Paul nodded. I can do that. I'm not going to tell you whether your son committed a crime. I'm not asking you to. It took several days. When we met again, Paul slid a reconciliation across the table. His pencil tapped the first category. 18 transfers marked management adjustment, $800 each. Total, $14,400. I checked the total. Second category, Paul said. 7 reimbursements. Combined total, $11,200. I don't see receipts supporting them in the records you provided. And the roof? $12,000 transferred to Nathan as roof reimbursement. You have an estimate, but vendor confirmation says the job wasn't performed and they didn't receive that money. Paul drew a line beneath the categories. Total transfers and claims not supported by the documents you gave me, $37,600. Does your report say unauthorized? No. Fraud? No. Theft? No. He looked at me over his glasses. It says the records provided do not support them. That was enough. I knew what I had signed. I knew what I had not signed. That evening, I emailed Nathan the reconciliation, the duties memo, and my written proposal. I asked for a full accounting and repayment of $37,600 under a written repayment agreement. I told him that if he disputed any category, he could provide the supporting authorization, receipts, or vendor proof. If he refused to account for the money, I would send the file to an attorney for a formal civil demand. Nathan replied the next morning, I'm not signing anything that makes it look like I stole from you. I wrote back once, the proposal does not use that word. It asks you to account for the transfers and repay amounts you cannot support. No answer came. By Friday evening, Lauren had sent a message to the adult family group, Sunday dinner at our house. No kids. We need to clear the air about the vacation, Megan, and these accusations, before Charles tears this family apart any further. I read it twice. Then I opened the cabinet where I had stored the records. Not all of them. I chose the child care screenshot, Megan's emails, the dated vacation messages, the Unit 3 lease and summary, the duties memo, the roof documents, and Paul's reconciliation. One thin folder. Lauren had invited everyone into one room to hear her version. This time, I was bringing the dates with me. Lauren had arranged the chairs in a half circle before I arrived. No children, no television, just adults, coffee, and the silence people create when they have already discussed you before you walk through the door. Kim sat near the window with her husband. 2 other couples from the trip were there. Nathan stood beside the fireplace with his arms folded. Lauren stayed near the dining table, one hand resting on the back of her chair. I carried one thin folder. Lauren looked at it first. Of course you brought paperwork. I brought what I need. She gave a small laugh and turned toward the room. Can we please do this without turning Sunday dinner into a deposition? Nobody answered. Lauren sat down. We all need to own our part, she said. The vacation got ruined because plans changed at the last minute. People lost money. People had to scramble for childcare. Then private family issues got dragged into rental properties and bank accounts. Kim shifted in her seat. Lauren kept going. I'm not saying mistakes weren't made. Maybe I assumed too much. But Charles could have handled this like family, instead of making everyone feel like they did something wrong. I placed the folder on my knee. Can I ask one question? Lauren's mouth tightened. Go ahead. I looked around the room. Who here heard me say yes? Nobody moved. I waited. Not one hand, not one voice. So I asked again. Who received a text from me saying I would keep all 10 children? Kim looked down at her cup. One of the husbands shook his head. Another woman said quietly, I didn't. Email? No one. Phone call? Nothing. Lauren crossed her arms. You're making this sound more sinister than it was. I haven't called it anything. I opened the folder and pulled out one page. This is the group message Kim sent me. Lauren stared at the paper. I read only the line that mattered. Dad confirmed. He'll take all 10. Then I looked at her. What was my confirmation? Lauren's fingers tapped once against her elbow. Nathan said you were free. That is not what the message says. You never told me you weren't. You never asked. A woman across from me spoke before Lauren could answer. Wait, you really never agreed? No. She turned toward Lauren. You told us he had. Lauren's voice sharpened. I told you what I believed was handled. Kim set her cup down. You said confirmed. Lauren looked at her sister. Kim, seriously? That is what you wrote. The room changed without anybody raising a voice. Nobody apologized. They had stopped accepting Lauren's version automatically. Nathan stepped away from the fireplace. This is exactly the problem. We are spending an hour arguing over one word. Then let's use dates, I said. I placed Sophie's graduation invitation on the table. April 17th. Sophie's invitation arrived at my house. Next came Megan's email thread. That same day, Megan sent Nathan the graduation date. Nathan replied that he would make sure I heard about it. Nathan's jaw shifted. I added the vacation messages. April 18th. Lauren proposed the weekend of May 8th through May 10th. Nathan wrote, "That weekend works." Lauren then told the group Nathan said, "I was free." Lauren leaned forward. "So now you're saying we planned a vacation to stop you from going to a graduation?" "No." That stopped her. I kept my hand on the papers. "I can't tell you what the two of you said when I wasn't there. I can tell you what the timestamps say." No one interrupted. Nathan knew the graduation date. The next day, he told this group that weekend worked. 2 days later, Lauren told everyone I had confirmed. I had not. Nathan shook his head. "You weren't talking to Megan. You had no plans with her. I had a granddaughter." "That is not what I meant." "I know." His face tightened. I pulled out the 3 older emails. Before that weekend, Megan had contacted Nathan 3 times, asking to reconnect with me or pass along information. Each time, Nathan answered for me. I never saw the emails. Kim stared at Nathan. "You told Megan Charles didn't want contact?" Nathan looked at her, then at me. Dad had asked for space. "For a while," I said. Nathan spread his hands. "Fine. I misjudged how long. That has nothing to do with rental money." There it was. A clean break between subjects, exactly where he wanted one. I agree they are different issues. Nathan's shoulders loosened slightly. Then I opened the folder again. But both involve authority you did not have. I placed the Unit 3 lease beside the owner summary. This lease says $1,750. Next came the bank record. The tenant paid $1,750. Then the summary. The report Nathan gave me says actual rent received was $1,500. Nathan rubbed his forehead. "We've been through this." "Yes." I placed the duties memo beside it. Your fixed compensation was $500 per month. Additional compensation required a written amendment signed by me. Lauren spoke from across the room. He worked far more than $500 worth. That may be true. She blinked. If Nathan believed his compensation was unfair, he could have asked me to change it. What he could not do under this agreement was approve extra compensation for himself. Nathan's voice rose. They were management adjustments. "Show me the amendment." His lips pressed together. I pulled out the roofing estimate and the vendor confirmation. This one is simpler. $12,000 left the property account to Nathan as a roof reimbursement. The roofing company gave an estimate. They did not perform the work. They did not receive the $12,000. One of the men near the window leaned forward. "Where did it go?" "To Nathan." Lauren stood. "That sounds like an accusation." "It is a bank transaction." I put Paul Avery's reconciliation on top. An independent CPA compared the records I provided. He did not call anything fraud or theft. Neither do I. His report says $37,600 in transfers and reimbursements are not supported by the records he reviewed. Nathan laughed once. A hard sound. "So now an accountant knows more about what I did for you than your own son." "No. He knows what the documents show. You are choosing paperwork over me." I looked at him. "No. I am refusing to let being my son create authority I never gave you." Lauren shook her head. "Everybody trusted me to handle the trip. That was the whole point. Somebody had to organize it, Kim answered before I did. Organizing it did not mean volunteering Charles. Lauren stared at her sister. Kim continued. I trusted you because you said he had confirmed. I won't do that again. Nobody cheered. A few people looked uncomfortable. Good. They were thinking. I closed most of the folder. There are two things everyone here should know. Nathan no longer has signer access to the property account. I removed it before this dinner. Nathan's eyes narrowed. And a licensed property management company is taking over the fourplex operations. Tenants and vendors now communicate through them or directly with me. Lauren's chair scraped as she sat again. You already decided all this? Yes. So why are we here? Because you invited me. Kim covered her mouth to hide a smile. I did not. I took out the last document. The repayment proposal. Nathan recognized it immediately. I already told you I'm not signing that. I know. I placed it in front of him anyway. $37,600. If you have receipts, written authorization, or vendor proof that supports any category, provide it. The proposal can be adjusted to the records. Nathan did not touch the paper. And if I don't, then I do what I already told you I would do. Lauren leaned toward him. Don't sign anything. Nathan looked at her, then at me. His hand rested beside the unsigned agreement. I thought of Sophie's empty chair, Megan's unanswered emails, my grandson asking why I did not want him anymore. One person speaking where another person's answer should have been. Nathan pushed the paper back across the table. Then do what you have to do. I folded the proposal once and returned it to the folder. Nobody tried to stop me when I stood. Lauren called after me from the dining room. So that's it? You're walking out? I opened the front door. No, I said. This is just the part where I stop asking you to agree with the facts. Then I stepped outside with the unsigned proposal under my arm. 3 business days after Lauren's dinner, I sat across from an attorney named Rebecca Sloan while she read the same thin stack of records I had carried into that house. She did not gasp at the roof reimbursement. She did not call Nathan a thief. She turned pages, made notes in the margin, and asked questions that had dates attached to them. Your duties memo says additional compensation required a written amendment signed by you. Yes. You found one? No. The roofing company confirmed no replacement work was performed? Yes. Their account history is here. And the accountant's reconciliation is limited to the records you supplied? That's what I asked him to do. Rebecca set her pen down. Then the next step is a demand, not a verdict. Good. She looked at me. Most people don't say good when I tell them they may be weeks away from an answer. I've had enough people answering before they were asked. That Wednesday afternoon, Rebecca sent Nathan a formal civil demand. It identified $37,600 in disputed transfers and reimbursements, attached the supporting records, and gave him 30 days to provide documentation or propose repayment. No police threat, no promise of court by Friday. Just a deadline. Nathan called me that evening. I watched his name light up my phone until the ringing stopped. A text followed. You hired a lawyer against your own son, I answered once. I hired a lawyer after you refused to account for money from my property. His next message came fast. Family used to mean something to you. I placed the phone face down. For years, that sentence would have bought him another meeting, another favor, another month without an answer. This time it bought nothing. The fourplex changed more quietly. By June, the licensed management company had taken over tenant calls, rent tracking, and vendor coordination under a written agreement. Their first full monthly report arrived in my inbox on a Monday morning. Scheduled rent, actual rent received, itemized expenses, ownernet, 4 fields. I printed the page and checked the supporting invoices. A plumbing repair matched the vendor bill. A landscaping charge matched the contract. The bank deposits matched the rent column. Nothing dramatic happened. That was the point. A system should not require drama to tell the truth. I signed off on the report, filed it, and went to meet Megan for coffee. We had started meeting every other Thursday, not to repair 18 months in 6 weeks. Mostly we talked about ordinary things. Sophie's job applications. A neighbor Megan could not stand. A restaurant Diane used to insist was worth the drive, even though none of us thought it was. Sometimes we talked about the old fight. One afternoon, Megan stirred her coffee until the ice cracked against the glass. I accused Nathan before I could prove what I was accusing him of. Yes, you used that to ignore the number I actually showed you. Yes. Her spoon stopped. I was cruel that night. I shut the door after you left and made Nathan the person who decided when it opened again. Neither sentence canceled the other. That was new for us. Megan took a sip. So what do we do with that? Thursday after next? She looked at me over the rim of her glass. That's your answer? For now. Her mouth moved slightly. Thursday after next. The 30-day deadline passed, with no receipts for the management adjustments, no written compensation amendment, and no paid roof invoice. Nathan's attorney contacted Rebecca near the end of that period and asked about settlement. 7 weeks after the demand went out, the four of us sat in a conference room that smelled faintly of toner and stale coffee. Nathan looked thinner around the face. His attorney did most of the talking. The final agreement required $7,600 up front and $1,250 each month for 24 months. I checked the arithmetic myself. $37,600. Nathan pushed the agreement away after the first read. So, I pay every dollar, and I still don't get the property back? Rebecca answered. Before I did. This agreement resolves the repayment dispute. It does not appoint you to any property role. Nathan looked at me. You could change that. I could. He waited. I did not continue. His fingers drummed twice on the table. And my boys? They are not part of this agreement. Nathan's attorney glanced at him. I leaned forward. You do not buy access to me with repayment, and I do not buy access to your children by forgiving repayment. Those are separate. Nathan stared at the signature line. Then he signed. The $7,600 upfront payment cleared 2 days later. That same week, I met with my estate attorney. Nathan had never been acting under my durable financial power of attorney. He had been listed only as the successor agent if the person ahead of him could not serve. My will also named him as the person I wanted the probate court to appoint as executor someday. I changed both. Not the inheritance. The authority. My attorney read the revisions back to me. A neutral, professional fiduciary as successor financial agent. A different executor nominee. Nathan remains a beneficiary under the will as currently drafted. That's correct. You're sure you don't want to change the distribution? I'm not settling a score with my death. The attorney gave one slow nod and turned the page. Blood could still make Nathan my son. It no longer made him my default manager. Nathan waited longer. The upfront payment had cleared, but money was not the part I was watching. In late July, he called and asked, "Can the boys come see you Saturday?" Not. "They're coming over." Not. I told them Grandpa would take them. Can they? I looked at the calendar. Yes. Noon to 4. Nathan was quiet. Then he said, "I can bring them. That works." He cleared his throat. I thought maybe we could talk too. Not during their visit. Dad, I'm not putting the property dispute into their afternoon. The property dispute is settled. The payments are settled. Everything else takes longer. His breathing changed on the line, but he did not hang up. What do you want from me? 3 things for now. Ask me directly about plans. Don't send messages through the boys, and don't use time with them to negotiate what happens between you and me. That's it? For now. Saturday, my grandsons came through the front door, carrying a baseball glove and a plastic grocery bag full of snacks. The older one stopped in the hallway. Are we allowed to come again? I crouched just enough that we were looking at each other without me towering over him. You ask me, or your dad asks me, and we make a plan. That's how it works. He considered that. Okay. Then he held up the glove. Can we go outside? Yes. Simple. A few days after that, Kim texted me about a family cookout. Lauren says Sunday afternoon, but I'm asking you myself. Are you free? I read the message twice, not because it was complicated, but because it wasn't. Yes, after 2, Kim replied. Good. I'll tell everyone you answered for yourself. Lauren never called to correct the plan. Nobody needed her to. The family thread had changed in small ways after that dinner. People asked the person involved instead of asking who had heard what from whom. It was slower. I preferred slower. Weeks later, Sophie texted me while I was filing paperwork at the kitchen table. I got the position in Cincinnati. I start after Labor Day. Mom says you'll pretend the drive is nothing and visit too much. I smiled at the screen. I'll let you decide how much is too much. Her answer arrived almost immediately. Deal. I opened the file drawer beside me. The cream graduation invitation was still there. I placed it inside a folder marked Family Correspondence. Beside it were Megan's current phone number, Sophie's new address, and the email addresses they had given me themselves. No messenger. No gatekeeper. Across the room, the latest property report waited in its own folder. Nathan's settlement payment had cleared that morning. None of those papers gave me my family back exactly as it had been. I did not want it back that way. My phone buzzed again. Sophie had sent the date of her move. I picked up my calendar and wrote it down myself. What this story leaves you with is a simple rule that can save you years of confusion. Never let somebody else become the permanent voice between you and the people you love. If a son, daughter, sibling, spouse, or relative keeps saying, "I already told them," "They don't want to talk to you," or "I handled it," you should still make room for direct communication. One phone call, one text, or one question asked in your own name can prevent months of resentment built on words you never actually heard. You also learn that generosity is not the same as permission. You can love your grandchildren, help your children, open your home, lend your time, and still expect people to ask before making commitments for you. When someone tells 10 other people that you have already agreed to something, the problem is not that you are selfish for saying no. The problem is that your choice was removed before you entered the conversation. A healthy family favor begins with a request. It does not begin with an announcement. The same principle applies to money. Trust does not replace records. If someone manages property, collects rent, pays vendors, or handles an account for you, written limits protect both sides. You should know what that person is allowed to approve, what requires your signature, what receipts must be kept, and how often you review the statements yourself. Checking the numbers is not an insult. It is basic ownership. If everything is correct, the records confirm it. If something is wrong, the records give you a place to start without guessing or accusing. Another important lesson is to separate problems that people try to bundle together. A disagreement over money is not the same as access to grandchildren. A family argument is not permission to rewrite somebody else's messages. An apology does not erase a debt, and repayment does not automatically repair trust. You can deal with each issue on its own terms. That makes your decisions clearer and makes it harder for someone to pressure you with guilt. You should also notice that accountability works better when it is specific. Instead of calling someone a liar, ask what was said and when. Instead of saying money is missing, compare the lease, the payment, the bank record, and the report. Instead of demanding instant forgiveness, watch what changes over time. Does the person start asking instead of assuming? Do they stop using other family members as messengers? Do they follow through when nobody is watching? Most of all, you are allowed to protect a relationship without returning it to the way it used to be. You can love someone and still remove their access to your money. You can forgive part of what happened and still require repayment. You can see your grandchildren without pretending their parents made good choices. Boundaries do not have to end a family, but they may change how that family works. Have you ever discovered that someone had been speaking for you, volunteering your time, or making decisions in your name without asking? Did you confront them immediately, or did you check the facts first? And if the person who crossed that line was your own child, what would you need to see before trusting them with real responsibility again?